Okay, we are officially live, my peeps. Officially live. Well, you
Welcome
feel
back to
better?
Lidat. Like, subscribe, and share this shit. So much fun. All right, today we're gonna talk. We're gonna give our review of House of the Dragon.
How?
I'm not sure if you guys know this, but Jose is a mega Game of Thrones fan. He loves that shit. Like he loves that shit. Right. I mean, we have a little debate right now. We'll probably have a little debate around the end of the podcast, but I think initially we should talk about the reviews and what we liked, what we didn't like, and then we'll go into our splitting of black or green. But let's start with the first episode, like the way the season starts.
See, before we start with that, I have to give we have to give a lot of credit to the director. I mean, yeah, his name. I think it's Ryan Candle, director of House of the Dragon, because I'm gonna tell you in a second. Uh, okay, I'm just gonna give him a lot of credit because the books are actually written a lot different than the actual Song of Ice and Fire, which is the books which the Game of Thrones series is based on, right?
Mm-hmm.
The House of the Dragon in the books called Fire and Blood is written like a history book, right?
Yeah.
So like imagine if you were asked to write a series about the Civil War, you send out like a high school book,
Mm-hmm.
right? None of the characters are fleshed out, any of them. There are not a lot of lines, and he basically had to do with like scraps. Like, yeah, George was helping him out. George R. R. Martin was helping him out, but they had to do a lot of writing themselves. Unlike the first 3, 4 seasons of Game of Thrones, which was already laid out, the dialogue was there. They just had to like
Mm-hmm.
bring it to life. So we have to give him massive credit because I don't know how he, like, listen. Some people will even say that Fire and Blood, that the book is actually rushed, and George just kind of like piece some stuff together and just put it out. So the fact that they were able to just do what they did,
Yeah.
massive props,
Pretty
massive,
amazing. Yeah.
massive.
I mean,
So
yeah.
yeah,
Let's give him his flowers. Let's give him his flowers before we start dissecting the work he did. Uh, I mean, I do feel with that kind of history novel kind of blueprint. I guess you just kind of have to hit the bullet points of history and just reimagine them. Not really reimagine them, but imagine them into reality. Like even in the history books, did it not kind of like kind of have the names for the character? Like isn't like Viserys like the Viserys the Peaceful, something like that?
no, I mean Viserys in the book is completely different. Viserys in the book is actually a drunken. Almost like Robert in Game of
Yeah,
Thrones
but
season one.
but
Like
wasn't but,
he's
but wasn't he known as the Peaceful?
no, he was not known as
He
peaceful.
wasn't. Oh,
No,
I
he
thought he
wasn't.
was.
That's just what I mean. Like he not only had to give characters, their lines, but he had to, you know, I don't know what's the proper word. Like he had to bring them to life. Like he
So,
had to give them a lot.
so you would say that this is one of the few times ever in ever in content history where the adaptation is better than the original.
Yeah, like some people will give him a lot of that. I mean, even George said it himself. That he sent an email or a text to Patty Constantine, the actor who played Viserys, and he said that your version of my character is 10 times better than what I wrote. That I even wanted. Even George wants to go back and rewrite it. In
Yeah,
the books, Viserys is drunk. He wants to party. He doesn't want to do any of these politics stuff. And that actor himself, and a lot of props to the actors themselves, they were able to add their personality, their characteristics, and bring those characters to life essentially. Because yes, Fire and Blood just gives you bullet points, but now you have to fill in how you get there.
yeah,
You have to fill in how the characters interact with one another, etc., etc.
yeah,
So it's a hard task for all the characters, because even the character of Damon himself, he's not in the books. He's more gray, and you can read it that he's actually innocent, and it's just a revisionist history for example, in Fire and Blood, it's actually written from three perspectives. Is a guy named Mushroom who's a dwarf,
Mm-hmm.
the Maester, and then a Septon.
Mm-hmm.
So it's three different perspectives retelling the events.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we don't know actually what happens. It's just their interpretation. So when you read Fire and Blood, you can read a hint of biases to a certain group depending on who you're reading it from.
Yeah.
Mushroom just acts like everyone was just doing a bunch of like sex. Essentially, he's extremely vulgar. So
Mm-hmm.
like there's a lot of credit to be done to everybody.
I'm sure because I remember reading this somewhere, or if not reading it, I remember seeing it somewhere that George was kind of explaining some of the characters. I know, I know, for example, like he explained Damon's character pretty well before, where he was basically just saying that Damon is more of what the fuck is that?
I mean, in the chapter, the Rogue Prince.
Yeah, the Damon's more like a bad, like not like a bad character, but like a bad boy character.
Yeah, he in the books he's described as, I guess, beloved by many and hated by many as well,
Yeah,
depending on like from who you're reading it from. In the book, it's a lot more ambiguous. Like in the books,
Jesus
he
Christ.
doesn't kill. Just ask them
Hold on a
once.
second. Keep talking.
Yeah. So
Hmm?
in the books, is a lot more ambiguous. For example, I'm gonna be all over the place just because we're not gonna go through episode to episode. I think in the books, Damon doesn't kill his
Sure.
wife. In the books, Damon doesn't. Let me see what else. He doesn't kill his wife because he's at
Well, no,
war.
I'm pretty sure in the books it's never explained what actually happens with his wife. We just know that she dies.
No, it's
It's
explained.
but I know politically it's assumed that Damon does kill his wife, but it
No,
was never confirmed that I'm pretty sure that's how that happens.
no. In the books, he's in the Stepstones fighting. In the books, she actually has a hunting accident and falls, and she dies days later after like 10 days of pain or something like that. It's described like he's never in the Stepstones. It's a problem because the writer.
But hold on, wait before you continue. The only reason they wrote that scene, in my opinion, the only reason they wrote that scene into the movie or into the show, excuse me, was because there was a insinuation that Damon was involved. They couldn't prove. Wait, hold on. They couldn't prove that he was involved, and the reason why it's assumed that he's involved is because he was set to inherit the land after the marriage, because he never gave her time of the day. He never wanted to have kids with her. Like, he kept her away for so long,
Mhm.
and then out of nowhere, the moment where he needs to, where I think is one of the biggest power moves he could have made, she conveniently passes away when she was an expert hunter. So
No,
that's why it's assumed, and I think this is why they wrote it into the show itself. It's assumed that Damon was involved.
no, that's an assumption that the writer made out of nothing. The writer,
Really?
Yes, yes.
I could have sworn I
Brian,
watch a couple
yeah.
I watch a couple of reviews of
Mhm.
people that's extremely familiar with the works, and almost all of them said that this was also um, something that was in the books, that was insinuated that Damon was involved in it.
That the thing is Ryan just made the assumption out of nothing. There was an interview that he did where he was like, "Oh yeah, well, Damon killed his wife," and it makes no sense because Damon was all the way in the Stepstones fighting. Like, he was nowhere near the Vale where his wife was at the time,
Hmm.
so that never happened.
Was it DeVale or like Harrenhal?
No, no, it's the Vale.
DeVale. Okay.
She's a Royce. She's there. There's the second most powerful family in the Vale, behind the Arryns.
Okay.
Yeah. So like timeline doesn't make no sense. He's all the way in the Stepstones, and she dies in a freaking hunting accident after 10 days of suffering, something like that. So it's just impossible. I don't know how they made that conclusion. I don't know how the writer made that conclusion himself because that's not what
Well,
happens.
that's what I'm saying is that, and maybe this is when's the last time you read the book?
I mean, I just finished it, but I just rushed through it as much as possible.
Okay.
But
Well,
he's
again,
nowhere near there. He's nowhere near there. He's
I
not even.
understand he's nowhere near there, but he has a dragon.
Yeah, but steps. Okay, but like he's gonna leave the war in the Stepstones, go all the way to the
Whoa,
Vale.
okay, and I understand that. I think the assumption lies in what he's the insinuation. The assumption lies in the inheritance that he got.
But he didn't get any inheritance.
But it's assumed. Well, I'm not sure if he got any inheritance or not.
No.
We'll talk about that more. But it's assumed that he was involved in it because of the inheritance he would have gotten since he was married to his wife. He never spent any time with her, and then she mysteriously dies. There's no heir. There's no heirs. There's no one else to inherit the land.
Yeah, but she
except
didn't
him.
mysteriously die. She has. I get it. She's a hunting accident. It was a
And
hunting
it's
accident.
also a political book and a political show. So it's like,
No, well, the show goes a different direction to make him seem more evil, but in the books it doesn't happen because he's like in another continent nearly.
yeah, but the book reads as a history book.
I understand, but time wise, it doesn't make sense. This is all the way in the fucking stepstones.
Okay,
I'm gonna pull up a map.
wait.
I'm pulling up a map.
Okay, pull up a map. Maybe I'm tripping, but I think if we saw like a coincidence like that in real life, it would be like, interesting. What a coincidence.
Yes,
You know what I mean?
Yes, I understand what you're talking about. Like, yes, you can sort of make it. The history books definitely don't seem in a positive light, and this is what I mean, that you can read it in a way that he's innocent. But the thing is that one is like, come on, like he's all the way in the steps. There's no way he's at war. He's gonna be like, hey guys, just give me give me a week. Let me go to the Vale, kill my wife, and I'll be right back, boys. See, let me just pull up the map. Okay. So the stepstones. Can you see me? Can you see my little?
Yeah. Can you zoom in a little bit?
Let me see if hitch. Did you just? Okay, you can hitch. Okay. Okay. The stepstones is. I don't know if you see the disputed lands.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is the disputed land. This is the stepstones right here.
Mm-hmm.
Next to Thorn. The Vale is all the way up here.
Mm-hmm.
So you're trying to tell me this motherfucker fro from the stepstones was like, all right, boys, we at war. I'm gonna fly all the way. And keep in mind, the woman was conscious. So for 10 days, she didn't tell nobody that, hey, my boyfriend came on a dragon.
Well, how do you know that she was conscious? It was right like that in the book that she was conscious and she was aware?
She suffered for 10 days. It was agonizing pain for 10 days for her. And she couldn't ride again. So, like, she could have easily said, yo, this fucker in a red dragon just came out of nowhere and just fucking tried to burn my ass. And nobody saw I got them freaking 7 foot, no, what, 7 foot, like a freaking airplane sized dragon pulling up, like, hey, what's up?
Maybe you have a point. That's a good point right there.
Okay, so whatever. Okay, you want to go by episode, or you just want to give your overall thoughts?
Well, let's start with the beginning.
Okay,
let's start with how the show begins.
Okay,
and then we'll maneuver forward. And obviously, you're gonna be the person that carries most of this weight because I feel like I'll have more nuanced positions, but you will know history, the implications of every actions a lot more than I do because you are pretty much a nerd when it comes to Game of Thrones. So, series starts off.
We're an Aaron again.
Excuse me.
We're an Aaron again. It's always the fucking Aaron, bro. Okay. You don't get it?
No.
That's how Game of Thrones started. It was the Hand of the King. I forgot his name. He was an Aaron, and he dies, and it starts the whole set of events from Game of Thrones. And here, his wife, Viserys, is an Aaron. She dies.
Oh, is she? I didn't notice that. She's an Aaron. No, is she?
Yes, she's an Aaron.
I thought that was his cousin.
No, she's not her cousin. It's because she has the hair. I get it. It can be confusing, but she's an Aaron. She's from the Vale.
Huh. Interesting. Well, the series starts with again an Aaron dying, I guess, and well, the series really starts with the king before Viserys, which I'm forgetting his name. Jaehaerys. He has to decide who's going to be the next king or queen of the realm.
Yes.
And this peaceful choice is what leads to most of the conflict that we're going to have throughout the rest of the series.
Yeah.
Because it sets a precedent that will later fracture the Targaryens.
Yeah, he holds
into a civil war called the Dance of the Dragons, correct?
Yeah. So he holds the king's foot in head. Basically, it's like a vote because all his sons, his male heirs, they die before their time. And the closest one to him is actually the lady forgot her goddamn name. So many R's in this freaking. So many
Yeah.
like Rhaenys. Rhaenys is actually
Rhaenys, yeah.
his closest. She is the eldest to one of his sons. So technically, if we go by lineage, she's
She's supposed to be heir to the throne, heir to the
yes.
throne,
But
because he's the cousin. He's the son of the brother, right? Something like that. I'm pretty sure he's the son of his brother's son, something like that. I don't know.
yeah, keep it going. I'll find a family
Yeah,
tree real
he's
quick.
a cousin, right? So he that's the granddaughter,
Okay.
and he's like the cousin or like nephew or something like that. So she's rightfully the heir to the throne, but Jaharis realizes that this would fracture the world and decides to make a vote so that no one can start a war
Yeah,
off of their claim to the throne.
yes.
Hmm. What do you think about that first?
Yeah, I mean, he was known as the conciliator, probably, if not the greatest king Westeros has ever seen. He decides to do that just because I think he's not sure himself. So he holds the vote. And I mean, I'm just going to go by the show because there's a bunch of conspiracies in the books. Like, there's the Maester conspiracy that basically the Maesters rigged the vote. It was a rigged election that actually people wanted
Well, of
Rhaenys.
course.
But anyways, I'm just gonna go. Let's go by plot because I can talk all day.
Okay.
They hold this boat in Harrenhal, and they grab all the lords, the Starks. Everybody pulls up. They vote, and they vote King Viserys into the throne. She's the knight twice actually. There was another time they were deciding the heir. I think she's the knight again. She's the knight twice, and she's sworn twice. And yeah, so they picked, which is look, if we go by the show only, it makes the most sense. They're gonna pick the male heir over him because she is already
Also, we
married.
go by history. That's usually how that kind of works.
Yeah, and plus, her claim is wholesome strength because she has a son named Laenor. We meet later on, but the thing is that they're no longer Targaryens; they're Valerians. So if
Yes.
she gains the throne will pass to a Valerian, not a Targaryen.
Not a Targaryen. Yeah.
Yes, so that could be also a reason, but it goes to Viserys.
Huh. That also leads into when Viserys was offering for his daughter Rhaenyra, right?
Yes.
His daughter Rhaenyra and her son to get married together, that he would keep the name Valerion until they get married, and then on the marriage day, he would change his name to Targaryen.
Yeah. Actually, they're gonna keep the name Valerion. The moment Viserys, her son, takes the throne, he becomes a Targaryen.
Yeah, that's not what I just said.
Yeah. No, I thought you said that at the moment they get married, he becomes a Targaryen.
Yeah, because okay.
No,
Yeah,
yeah.
at the moment he ascends to the throne, you're right. Correct.
Yeah.
I just say marriage. Okay.
Yeah. So the show starts like that, showing the King's Moot. That's when everyone shows up. They do the vote. Uh, then the problem comes because Viserys doesn't have a male heir. At that point, Daemon is the heir because he's the brother. He's the closest male, sibling.
Closest kin, yeah, male kin.
Closest male king. But Daemon is a loose cannon, and Rhaenyra's mother dies. And they do this really graphic, birth scene where they have to cut her open.
Yeah.
To try to save the baby. The baby dies, and Viserys just decides to make Rhaenyra the queen or the heir at that point. So what do you think of the first episode as a whole? Do you like it?
First, I saw some criticisms of the first episode about they just trying to make it gory for no reason. But it's like, well, a person's giving birth and they make it realistic. You're gonna lose a lot of blood if you cut open back in the fucking Middle Ages where there's no anesthetic, there's no way to thin the blood, there's no way to do anything, coagulants or whatever. So it's like, yeah, I mean that's kind of what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Damon's introduction,
I loved it.
I like Damon. I
like
like Damon when we first met him. He just didn't give he didn't care about anything.
The wild boy.
Rhaenyra, I've heard some criticisms, but I'll get more criticisms on her when the time skip happens.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see, Viserys. Firstly, who's the actor that plays Viserys?
Patty Constantine.
He carries the show. He's the best actor in the show.
Yes, he definitely kills it.
Rest in peace. He's by far the best actor in the show.
Yeah,
Right. You know, some people get like silly lines. He does a lot with his face in emotion that just people just he doesn't have, at least in my opinion, he doesn't have that much dialogue compared to some of the other characters, because we are really kind of aware that he's gonna die. Right. He's getting older.
Yeah.
He's getting cut on the throne and whatnot. But he's also extremely nuanced. He's probably the most nuanced character in the show.
Keep in mind you said that, because remember, in the books it's not like that.
Yeah.
They have to build a lot. Like, shout out to him.
And sacrifices that he makes is what a king should do.
What sacrifice do you think he made?
In terms of standing by the decision to keep his daughter as the heir, but he stood by that decision because he told her the prophecy, and the prophecy was only supposed to be extended to the heir of the king. So since he made her the heir, he couldn't go back on his word because he already told her the prophecy, and so he had to keep pushing it, even though people in his court kept fighting against it, like, no, you can't do this, no, you can't do this, no, you can't do this. The reason he kept that train of thought going is because he was already aware that the heir to the throne is a person that should know the prophecy, and it's the heir's job then, when they pass on, or when they depict their heir, to give them the histories and the prophecies and whatnot.
Yeah, I'll leave it for the end for my thoughts on why he did it. There's a reason. There's another reason too.
Okay.
Now, the criticism that is gory, I understand it, because one, C-sections were not common back in the medieval era. Like, that's not something that happened very often. And two, I don't know if you remember the tourney. There were actually people dying in the tourney. And usually that doesn't happen in tourneys. Like, yes, it happens by accident at times, but you don't have knights just like ripping each other apart with like hammers and stuff like that. That never happened. And people thought that.
But that was only one. That was only one people. That was only one. I mean, didn't we see like 5 different matches of jousting, and only one pair of knights fought each other after it?
Yeah, it was a couple, but I think that's the criticism people were saying. It's like, hey, you're just making it gory for no reason, for the sake.
I don't think it's a fair criticism.
Yeah, the whole C-section was actually more gruesome to actually people that went through birth. I was told, like, from a couple of reviews, like it was really hard for them to watch, because it's really difficult when you're a man and you're kind of there seeing your wife suffering and all that. So it meant that's a fantastic performance. But yeah, I think the first episode was a nice setup, and yada yada yada. So I mean, I'm ready to go to episode 2. So let me see. Let me go. What episode 2? I forgot what happens in episode 2.
Well, we can kind of give the general idea. The entire first half of the show is essentially trying to get Rhaenyra to become the throne. The dynamics between Rhaenyra and her father, how he's trying to force upon her the duties of being heir, how she's scared for the fact that she won't continue to be heir, because now that he is married to her best friend, Alicent, it was Hightower.
Yeah,
Alicent Hightower, that now there's a threat to her power in the future.
Yeah.
Then, which rightfully so, she should feel threatened, because that's definitely a direct threat. But, and this is why I say I think Viserys is going to go down as the best character. He stays the course. He stays the course throughout the entire season, and the decisions that he makes in making Rhaenyra his heir, and also having the entire all the lords and ladies of Westeros to also bow down to her and name her heir.
Yes, so this is the problem. Like, he stays the course, but he fails to continue to remind people that she's the heir, right? Everyone swears fealty to her before Aegon II is born. The moment Aegon II is born, a lot of High Lords are starting to question if he's going to change his mind. Because we get a scene about, I forgot, it was one of the Lannisters asks him, or just tells him, like, oh, well, you should marry me, and she's not going to be sad about her demotion. And he's like, what demotion? He's like, well, now you have a son. Right? And he kind of freaks out about it. But to me, that was supposed to be his moment to bring it up and remind everybody, hey, yes, I have a son, but I'm not gonna. That doesn't change anything. Rhaenyra is still my heir, and he fails
Yeah.
to do that. A lot of the characters, specifically Rhaenyra, Viserys, they go with this thing of I am king, and if I tell you to do so, that's what's gonna happen. You will see that when all the kids are fighting, and he's like, "Well, I'm the king, and I want this problem to stop, and if I say stop, it stops," and he just walks. But he fails to realize that his court is divided.
Hmm.
Just because you're the king and you say that this problem needs to stop, it doesn't mean it's gonna stop. Rhaenyra does the same thing when Daemon is going to the streets of Silk. It's a bunch of like prostitution places and stuff,
Hmm.
and she's like, "Oh well, they won't have a choice." Right? So in her mind, she's like, well, the moment I'm heir, they don't have a choice. I have to ignore them. And it comes to bite them in the ass because that's not how it works. You have to remind people. You have to reassure you. Yeah. So they made a lot of
Yeah,
mistakes.
he's not a very great politician, and I think
Mm-hmm.
he suffers. I think he suffers from the fact that everyone he's around, I think in one way or another he loves, and he's trying to avoid conflict at all costs.
Yeah, he does that a lot. He
Yeah,
trust.
and that's what I mean. Like you can see that his loyalties towards everyone at his court, his family, his new wife, his new kids, is pulling him in every direction.
We don't have any new kids. He kind of ignores the new kids. We don't get scenes
No,
of
no.
him and his kids.
What I mean, for example, like Otto. Otto was trying to
Okay.
pull. Otto was trying to pull him in one direction towards his wife, towards this Viserys' wife and his kids. He wants him to go in that direction, while Rhaenyra is giving him all this attitude, and Daemon's destroying stuff elsewhere, and then the Valerians acting the way they're acting. Like it's he's being pulled and fractured, and most of the people are either family, people he's known for decades, or literally wife and daughter. So I think he's suffering from the pulling of all his loved ones, which I think some people can understand.
Yeah, because even he says it himself. It's like everything I do, I suffer the pain of making somebody else angry.
Yeah, no
If
matter what
I
he does, the
yeah,
crown is
like
heavy.
if I marry the woman that I want, I freaking piss off this guy. If I don't marry the woman that I want and I go with this guy, piss off the high towers. I always piss off everybody.
Yeah,
So that's what he's talking about. But I guess let's go from character to character. We're with
but
Viserys.
I will say this in the time skip. Well, you want to go to time skip right now?
Yeah, I was thinking we can just do we can go from character to character and then we just talk about the time skip and everything else. So we're
Okay,
talking about
let's go
Viserys.
character to character before time skip.
Yeah, Viserys. I mean, look, I think Viserys did an amazing portrayal of him. I think he added so much to the character that wasn't there in the books. He gave him nuance. He had a lot of flaws, and I think that he's kind of the main culprit to why everything went the way it went because of
Hmm.
his like stupid decisions. So
Yeah,
let's go to Damon now. Damon, the wild boy. How do you think
yeah.
about Damon?
Uh, I like him. I think that you can definitely see his inspiration on Aegon. And I mean
What do you mean?
Aegon as in 'cause you can tell like well, I guess we have to go into I guess we have to go into the time skip with that. When Aegon is about to fight one of the strong boys, and Daemon steps in, and Aegon just walks away immediately.
Oh,
Or
you
when
mean
or
that's
when
Aemon?
Daemon cuts off what's this guy's name?
You mean Aemon?
No, when is it Aemon or
Yeah, it's
Aegon?
Aemon. No, Aemon. Aemon is this guy. Aemon.
Aemon is the one with the missing an eye.
Yeah,
Okay, Aemon. Excuse me. You
yeah.
can tell that Aemon is extremely inspired by Daemon in his actions. Like he. It looks like he views Daemon as a kindred spirit, and
You
he
think
looks up to
so?
him. Yeah, you don't think so?
No,
You
I don't.
don't. I mean, for his attitude and poking at people for no reason.
No, not really.
That's definitely Daemon. Daemon starts off when in the council the council meeting just poking buttons with Otto Hightower.
Yeah, but I
But
don't think.
let me continue. It also seemed as if Aemon was he appreciated what Daemon did when the strong boys were called bastards. When he
Mhm.
cut off what was the guy's name again?
Baemond, the one that got cut off.
Yeah,
Yeah, his name is Baemond. It's really
Daemon.
confusing with
Oh,
the name.
excuse me. If you guys are not aware, this is spoilers. There's gonna be a lot of spoilers in this.
It's quite
Um
confusing.
uh and when Amon was starting a fight with the Strong Boys, as soon as Damon walked into that fight, like Amon didn't give a word of rebuttal. He just walked away. I think he feels he looks at I think he looks up to Damon. So it's going to be interesting because I imagine that Amon is going to become a younger version of Damon in the long run.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely see the similarities, but I don't think they look up to one another.
No, not they look up to one another.
But
Amon
like,
looks up to Damon.
no, I don't think so. I never there was never a scene between them where they were interacting. It was just maybe at the end. Like, yes, I definitely see the similarities, but I think Amon poking at the Strong Boys is just that the rivalry that Allison just put on her sons. It was the constant like they're gonna come after you, they're gonna take everything away from you. They're bastards, they're bastards. You have to stand up. So it's plus Amon is pissed at Luke for cutting him in the eye. So he's like, oh, I'm gonna fuck with you. So it's a lot of that, but I don't think it's like Amon being like, oh, Damon, like, oh, be
You
my
don't think so?
daddy. Like, no,
I think he
didn't
looks up
get
to Damon,
that.
but maybe I'm reading more into it, and I'm watching how people are reacting towards each other. And I mean, from what I've seen, it seems as if Amon is going to become a little Damon, and it to me, and I could be wrong. Maybe I'm looking too deep into it. It does to me. It seems as if Amon looks up to or he regards Damon highly.
I mean, I don't know how you got that.
Especially as a teenager, you would imagine that you see someone older just kind of just does whatever they want. You know that's every teenage boy's dream to do whatever they want, no matter what, and no consequences happen.
I mean, I understand, but the thing is that Daemon is seen all the way in Pentos. Like, they don't really interact or see each other.
Okay.
So, yeah, so, so like Daemon, he's the rogue prince. He, I don't know. I think the writers in here kind of did him a little bit dirty in a couple of scenes with the whole killing his wife. Then with the whole kind of living, like ignoring his children. There was a few deleted scenes where he was supposed to be hugging his two daughters after his mother's passing. He kind of just walks away.
Mm.
And it's like even the writers themselves do not understand why people like Damon, because he's supposed to be this horrible character. But at the same time, I don't think people like Damon. I think people like Matt, the actor, more than anything else. He's just he has all this charisma that he brings to the character, and he becomes likable. Plus, I think also people enjoy seeing a character that does whatever he wants, right?
Yeah.
Like I think people enjoy seeing a character that they wish they could be more.
They
like
could be, yeah.
Yeah, like everyone kind of wishes they could go to work and just say "fuck off" and just walk away.
Well,
You know what I mean?
also, I think it's pretty cool that his only redeeming quality about him is whenever he's around Viserys. It again, back to Viserys. It seems as if, besides Otto, that he brings out the best characteristics on people around him. You know, at the end when he's passing, and when Daemon comes back to I think it's Dragonstone or Westeros or whatever, and they see each other after so long, like you can tell that the love between Daemon and Viserys is something really strong, and that Daemon, one of his few only people he care about is actually his brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he wanted his brother approval. He also gets pissed off at Rhaenyra when Rhaenyra tells him the prophecy, and he kind of gets pissed off and chokes her. It's like, oh wow, like my brother didn't care enough about me to even tell me this freaking prophecy. I think he got pissed off at that too. So yeah, that's definitely Daemon. How about we got about Rhaenyra? This is the other one.
Rhaenyra, pre-time skip Rhaenyra is exactly what I would imagine a teenage girl to act like when you have more power than you probably deserve. Yeah. I saw a criticism about her, that when she got older, apparently she just learned how to become a ruler out of nowhere. That wow, she knows how to play politics and be politically savvy and whatnot so randomly. I kind of thought to myself, no, you can't. If you're surrounded by power for 2 decades, 2.5 decades, 3 decades, eventually you'll learn after all those hormones get out of you and whatnot. You're gonna learn how to maneuver. You know, when we're young, we're so self-assured of ourselves, and then as the older you get, you start to realize, oh man, I didn't really know shit. And but I did see the criticism that people didn't like the fact of how drastically she changed. It's a fucking time skip. She got a lot older.
Yes, she also got more involved. I think when we're talking about Rhaenyra, we also have to talk about Alicent because I think the story revolves around them two a lot as well,
Yes.
and their interaction. You know, the first stars have friends, which that's not in the books. Alicent is actually a lot older than her, and that's where a lot of conflict comes on. So like having them interact as friends and seeing their, you could say their parents' conflicts be placed on them, because you have
Mm-hmm.
Otto essentially forcing Alicent and telling her like she's gonna come for your kids, she's gonna come for your kids, she's gonna kill everybody. You know, you need to step up. You need
Yeah.
to make Aegon king, and you're putting all this pressure on her, and then Alicent's frustration passes down to Aegon and Aemon,
Yeah.
and then same thing for Rhaenyra. That, you know, the whole struggle passes to Jason, Luke, and Joffrey.
Yeah.
So it's also like this lineage, this struggle is just passing down from generation to generation.
Also, I see a little bit of Cersei in Allison in the you can see how desperate she is. I'm not sure about maybe not Cersei. Maybe what was the Stark's mother's name? You
Catelyn.
remember? Catelyn. I see a little bit of Catelyn in her, like the desperateness to protect her kids and willing to do whatever it takes for her kids' safety. I guess you can go Catelyn and Cersei in some sense,
Yeah,
but I definitely do see that more in Allison than I see that in Rhaenyra.
yeah, the need to protect your kids.
Yeah, like Rhaenyra's whole mode of moving in the political sphere is because of birthright, we could say.
Yeah,
But Allison's whole maneuver in the political sphere is that she has children, and if she were to allow Rhaenyra to take control as strongly as she could, her children's life could be in danger. And so she's willing to do whatever it takes to make sure her children don't needlessly have to die or be threatened just because of their lineage.
that happens. So you know what? You know what's interesting, especially like in the, because they have all this conflict, Rhaenyra and Alicent,
Yeah.
right? And Alicent, Rhaenyra feels betrayed because Alicent is having kids with her dad, which I guess that can be kind of pretty annoying if you're supposed to be my friend. You sleep with my
Mm-hmm.
dad,
Yeah.
and then you make kids with my dad, and your kids are threatening me in my position.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where the struggle comes in. But it's also how in episode 8 they were having this conversation. They were all they were all having like, I don't know, Thanksgiving dinner or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
and they all like reconciled immediately like that, like this long struggle just like that. And it's
But I think that's Viserys right there. He
I guess
wakes
it's
up.
there.
He's been wait hold on. He's been poisoned for fuck knows how long, and essentially the High Towers have taken control of control of Westeros,
Mhm.
right? And Rhaenyra comes. And he speaks to his father. She speaks to his father one time. She speaks to her father. Fucking A.
Mhm.
One time, and he finds the strength to get up, go to the meeting, and people all around start to realize how much they love Viserys, and they're willing to separate the differences just to make him happy.
Yeah, this is over 20 years of them bickering. You're trying to tell
Yeah,
me one
no,
speech
no,
and it's like,
I'm not saying
yeah, we're
I'm
good.
not saying it would have changed everything. I'm not saying it would have changed everything, but what you can see at that point, you can start to see Viserys' impact the entire time. So what's to stop what would have stopped Alicent or Otto or well maybe not Otto's maybe Otto's not a good example, but throughout the entire time I'm sure there were plenty of times where you could have just sent an assassin to either kill Rhaenyra or kill the siblings or yeah her siblings,
Mhm.
but I would like to hope, and maybe this is me reading further into it, that Viserys being there for as long as he did quell them enough to not for them not to go each other while he was alive. His death is really what sparks the what catalyzes the battle between them in the first place. As soon as he's gone, that's it. There was nothing else holding them back.
Yeah, he's the one holding them back, but it's also the stupid prophecy that she tells Alicent, and Alicent confuses the
Yeah,
prophecy with her own son. Which
Oh,
that's another thing,
did
CDI.
did you hear about that was the well I heard like an interesting theory that was the what's that god's name, the god of the fire, the red
Raylor,
god, huh?
Raylor,
No
the fire one,
the
the
yeah,
one that Melisandre follows,
yeah,
Raylor.
but it's called Ray Lower.
Yeah,
What's the other name they called in during the show?
he is just the
uh
God of light.
Lord, yeah, Lord of Light, something like that.
Yeah, God of light or something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, something like that, right? That that the breaking of the Targaryen family was meant to happen. It needed to happen.
Because Raylor.
Yeah, because the Song of Ice and Fire is about a Targaryen merging with a Stark. It's not about a Targaryen being on a throne. It's about merging both sides of the realm together to fight the White Walkers in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, that sounds like some bullshit to me.
You think so?
That sounds like some
I mean,
like
I think. Wait, hold on, because it seems like who's the guy from Game of Thrones that could die and come back, no matter what?
I know his name. I know who you're talking about. It's not Bursting Selmy. It's I forgot his goddamn name.
Okay, regardless of what, but until you remember, but he does die. He does die up north, saving John. Correct?
Yeah, he dies in the battle.
Yeah.
The
No,
Winterfell.
wait. No, he died. He dies. No, he dies beyond the wall.
Mm. No, he comes back to life beyond the wall. He fights in the final battle. Let me look him up.
Nah, he dies beyond the wall.
No, he
He
doesn't.
dies. I'm pretty sure he dies saving John beyond the wall.
Are you talking about Benjen?
No, not Benjen. Benjen comes back. He
Yeah,
also dies beyond the wall, but he comes back. I'm talking about the guy that's constantly revived, no matter
yeah,
what. He dies beyond the wall, saving John, and the argument is that he needed to be kept alive until he can save John.
no, he freaking dies at the battle. I know who you're talking about. I know exactly who you're talking about. This fucker. I'll show you right now. Talking about this fucker.
Yes.
Yeah,
When does he die? Okay, can you find his death scene then? So just so we can confirm.
yeah. I don't know what type of theories you're watching, but you stop. Stop, and I'm gonna send you
I'm sorry.
actually.
I'll just come to you and get all my theories from you.
Yeah, shit.
But okay, let's continue. But I think that's an interesting theory. That firstly, the reason that guy couldn't die the entire time is because he needed to die in a specific way to fulfill his duty.
Well, yeah, his duty was to die at the Battle of Winterfell. Give me 1 second. Let me.
And it's also why John was able to come back to life. It's because he wasn't meant to die at that point in time during the story. That's the theory. Is that the reason why death was able to be subverted was because people died when they weren't supposed to die.
Okay, here you go. You're talking about Beric Dondarrion. This is that scene. He dies at the Battle of Winterfell. I'm gonna spit it up.
Oh yeah, you're right. I remember this. And he gets trapped in the hallway, saving Arya.
Yeah.
Keeps getting stabbed. Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember that.
Okay. So fuck that theory. Because not even the
But
whole
you could also still make the argument that he was meant to save Arya. That was his fate. He had to save Arya at the end.
I don't know about
Maybe I'm stretching, but
because the whole prophecy is not even in the books. It's not even the dagger. It's just like I don't know how I feel about the prophecy being so heavily involved in the story because it seemed like it added a bunch of conflicts that really didn't need to be added to them. It seems a little bit lazy writing, especially because Alicent and Rhaenyra apparently they make up after 40 years of not even 40 years but like 20 years of fighting and feuding and their kids hating each other and yada yada yada. And Viserys comes makes one speech and he's like, "You took care of my dad and you're a great mother." And it's like,
Yeah.
"Oh my god, you're a great mother too. Let's not kill each other." What the fuck you
Yeah.
talking? You hate this one for 20 years.
Yeah.
It's sleeping with your father. Now you're cool. like,
Yeah.
like what's wrong with you? I don't know how I feel about it.
Okay, let's go. Let's move on to the kids. Who's your favorite so far?
Oh my god, I love. Listen, Addison's kids are way more interesting than freaking Rhaenyra's. Rhaenyra's kids are.
Well, I also believe that Rhaenyra's kids haven't really been given enough time to like.
They're just lame.
Yeah.
It's lame. Like, I'm gonna talk to you about a scene in a few, but they're just lame. Like, Aemon is more interesting. He flies the highest dragon. He trains. He has one eye. You know, Aegon is a piece of shit. Let's be honest. Her daughter freaking knows prophecies, and then you have the other three bastards. It's like what do they do? It's like Jace doesn't even know Valyrian, and he's old as hell, and the man doesn't even know his native language.
Yeah.
It's like they're kind of whack, man. They're kind of whack. They're kind of whack. You know what's a really good scene that I liked a lot? You know that scene in episode 7 where Daemon, his head is cut off by Daemon. Um, there was a lot of critiques over them of the Valerians being black. Let me see.
Was there really?
Yes, people didn't like that the Valerians were black because in the books they're not black. They're white, they're Westeros. But there was a lot of critique over that, and if you notice, there's not a lot of like racism towards the Valerians. Like no one brings up their skin color,
Mhm.
but I like the fact that everyone they don't have a problem with your skin color. They have a problem where you're from. So if you're from Dorne, people don't like
Yeah.
Dornish, hate Dornish. It's like that type of racism, like where you're at your location and stuff like
Mhm.
that. But there's a lot of criticism of them being black. In episode 7, it just it makes the scene so much more powerful because you have Daemon who's in the right telling the king, hey, he's not ours. He doesn't have our hair. He doesn't look like us, like any of us. And
Mhm.
not only one, three of them don't look like any of us. And you're gonna
Yeah.
take my right, my birthright, you're gonna give it to your child because the emperor wears no clothes and you know, no one can judge it because you know Viserys doesn't want anyone to
To
question
challenge
his
his.
child,
Yeah. Mhm.
right? Even though to everybody else it's obvious, everybody else just sees them and like they're bastards,
Yeah.
but it just highlights it because it's black. Because when you look at them, you're like, okay, like that's nice. It's nice. Like everybody knows they're bastards. In the book, it's actually more ambiguous. We don't know if there is or not. Like we don't
Yeah.
know who's. So that's another change that I really loved a lot. Like it did matter the fact that they were black, but in a good way. Like it did matter. I think it added a lot to the story. So that is my take. How you like? You like that scene when he's like,
Yeah. I
because
mean, yeah. I mean,
he's in
I
the
thought
right.
it.
He's in the right. Like you know what I've been noticing a lot while reading
Yeah, but
George.
okay, but here, and this is what I like about Game of Thrones, is that often inside Game of Thrones you are punished for being right. There's only really one character does not, and even then, he was punished for being right. He got stabbed by the entire Night's Watch. But in Game of Thrones, you are often punished for being right. Ned was punished for being right when
You're close
uh
to it.
what's his name? Uh Ned uh Tyrion.
Hmm.
When Tyrion was right, he was punished.
When he was right.
When he was right about not killing Joffrey, he was punished for just existing.
Yes,
Right?
but you notice the theme though.
That you get killed for just being right.
If you notice that George R. R. Martin in his writing, it's a lot of like perception versus reality.
Yeah.
It's a lot of that,
Yeah.
right? Like the reality is that Tyrion didn't kill Joffrey, but the perception is that he killed Joffrey. The
And that was
reality is that
enough.
yeah, the reality is that you know Rhaenyra's kids are bastards, but the perception is that they're not supposed to be bastards, right?
Yeah.
Like it's all over the place if you start reading his content a lot, which you know I like, and I guess that's what leads to the conflict at the very end is this perception versus reality, which is who's a better king at
Yeah.
that point. Um, yeah, so that's one.
Also, you also have to be careful with challenging people that have more power than you. It's okay to challenge someone that has less power than you, but you should probably never challenge someone that has more power than you because most likely not going to end well for you.
Yeah, but I understand his frustration. That's one of the things that really make a lot of sense to me. It's like, yes, he was not wise by basically calling the heir a whore. You know what I mean? But at the same time, you can understand
No,
someone's
no, no. He was
frustration.
wrong.
No, you know, like yes, he wasn't wrong, and it's definitely not wise. But you can definitely understand the frustration. Like this is your home. You know this is your home. This is
Well,
your
but it's not even just that. Like he was, but besides being politically unsavvy, during the war in Stepstones, when Damon came back from flying, and fighting,
practice.
and yeah, and he was fighting the war or whatever, he came back the latest, and already what's the name again? Something with a V.
Damon,
Damon was already talking hella crazy about this guy.
because
He
they
was
were
talking,
losing.
bro. He was talking crazy,
Because they were
but check
losing.
it out. He was talking crazy, not in front of him, bro. He was talking
I
crazy,
hear you,
right?
but
And then Damon walked up, quiet, right? But check it out. He thought he could talk to the king like that in front of Damon, bro. He's out of his mind.
well, look, in that scene, his brother told him to shut up
Yeah.
when they're in the war. Brother told him to
Mm.
shut up and cut it out. But I get it. He's wrong for doing it there. But my point is, I can understand his frustration because his home is being taken away, and he knows it's not right. I can understand how pissed off you have to be when your house is being given away to some bastards. You know what I mean? Wouldn't you be pissed off if like you walked home one day and there was like two people there and they're like, "Oh, this is our house now." According to who? Oh, well, the president says it's
Oh
our
well,
house.
this is where I think characters like Littlefinger and characters like bald guy, what's his name again?
The Varys.
Varys, where they were smart. They maneuvered themselves into power instead of just whenever power was taken away from them, like they didn't really like lose their mind. They just found another way around.
Yeah, then,
Holding on, trying to hold on to power so strong and stringently is also usually a downfall a lot of characters
right,
in the show.
right. But I just like that. I still approve of that scene. It's one of the scenes that makes sense to me. It's like, yeah, you're frustrated. Fucking, it freaking sucks. Getting kicked out of your own
I
goddamn
mean,
house.
I think the only thing I agree with that situation was Damon cutting his head off. That's the only thing. That's the only thing I liked about that scene. His character was already set to die during the Stepstones. You could already tell that he had a mouth that could not exist within politics and continue to survive. He was either gonna become an enemy, or he was gonna have to be killed. The moment I saw him speak crazy at Dragonstone, or not Dragonstone, that's the Stepstones, I was like, yeah, he's out of here. This guy's talking crazy against a guy that, bro, the moment I realized he's talking crazy about a guy that just flew on a dragon, I knew he was gonna die. This guy, he's not thinking. He's not a thinker. He's just all testosterone and let's get things done. But that
Yeah,
characters like that don't live.
yeah. I mean, yeah, you could say so testosterone, but yeah, like it's also, I guess,
Well, you also don't like the blacks, so
it's also, first of all, what blacks, we mean the black team. That's like gonna be banned like the freaking
the
anti
black team.
No, but there's also a frustration of being like a second son, right? Like if you, it all
Yeah,
depends on how in what order you come out. We see this in the Lannisters. So in the
yeah.
Lannisters in this show, the twins, but it's only by a second. But just because you're born by a second, you basically inherit everything, right? You inherit the
Mhm.
castle, you inherit the army, you inherit everything. You're the second son, you cannot get nothing. Otto is the second son. Damon is the second son. Aemon is the second son. Baemon is the second son, and you can see that frustration of like, I think I'm more deserving, but this person just has it. Like Aegon the second is gonna be king, but Aemon is more prepared to be king. Baemon is more prepared to lead Driftmark, but Luke is gonna inherit Driftmark. Although he's a boy who has zero experience in boats and he throws up apparently when it comes to boats, right?
Mhm.
So and so on and so forth. Like we see that second son frustration a lot
Yeah,
in the show. So who else we missing? We see Alicent's. You notice that the Alicent actor and Rhaenyra actor in the first half,
actress.
actress or whatever. You first of all, nowadays you can use the terms however you want. But basically, they talked about how they were trying to act like two confused girls. Like they didn't know if they had feelings for one another. It was like a part of their lives where they don't know what type of feelings they have. Like they don't know if they like each other just as friends or something more. Like she got a little bit deep into it, and you can see the disconnect between the elder actors because they don't have that.
Mm,
You notice that?
no, I
Yeah,
never really noticed that. And even with the acting, I never even noticed. I would never. If you give me like a 10 times to watch it, I never think there was some kind of sexual tension there
really?
or
I'm gonna show you a scene
romantic
right now.
tension.
Me too.
Well, we're
Uh,
both seeing two different things in the show, bro.
I mean, listen. This is the actress who said what she was seeing. This is not me
Yes,
making it. Is the
Okay, I
actresses that
understand that. Well, then if that's what she tried to act, then she is a horrible actress.
I mean, there were both
she
of
acted.
them.
She acted a whole bunch of different. She acted something different to me.
No, because you remember that scene where they were reading in this tree and Rhaenyra was sitting in her lap and she goes, "So we have to do this." And it's like, well, I like sitting where I'm sitting. Then they have this scene where she's putting a necklace, around Rhaenyra, and they kind of get really close to one another. There's a couple of scenes like that. I think you're getting old. I think you're getting old. I think you're getting old. There are like two scenes where they act that
Two
out.
scenes.
But
Nah.
that was the purpose. I didn't see it at first until she brought it up. It made sense because when I guess when you're that young and you don't have experience, because between Alicent and Rhaenyra is supposed to show two polar opposites, supposed to show kind of like the freedom, rebel Rhaenyra who wants to sleep with Kingsguard and does whatever the hell she wants, and then you have the law-abiding Alicent who is going to be loyal to her king and is going to have her children. Is going to do what a mother does, stuff like
Well,
that.
so here's another thing. Here's another thing. I guess again, me and both viewing things different. I think Rhaenyra sleeping with the guard.
Christian Cole.
Yeah, I think that's a reflection of Damon inside of Rhaenyra.
Yeah, because I mean, come on, like he takes her to the streets of Silk. They're getting hot and heavy, and
Mm-hmm.
she leaves her. And she's like, you know what? Which let me say this. I'm just letting you know that it's a little power dynamic. You have a guard that is sworn to her, and you have to obey. And here comes the princess. She's like, hey, listen, you gotta put up. You got a job to do up in
Yeah,
here.
you gotta protect me with that
you gotta
sword.
you gotta stab me a couple of times. Like shit.
Yeah, I see that. I see that. But this is what I mean is that firstly, didn't Damon end up like marrying a whore, or
No,
a,
he didn't
a,
marry her.
or saying that he was gonna marry a whore or something like that?
Yeah. The
Okay,
second
that's
episode.
one. And then two, he seems to only be really able to have sex until he gets married to the other Valyrian. With whores, just in general, like he just couldn't marry someone those. He couldn't really even think about being
You
someone
couldn't
those.
finish. You could
Okay,
have sex, you just couldn't finish the job.
yeah. Um, and then, again, I feel like that also inspires what Rhaenyra ends up doing with her going with her guard, and then
Uh-huh.
after that one guard, and he gets switched out to another guard. She just goes with the next guard after him.
Yeah, it's about sexual liberation versus Alicent, who doesn't have that. Because I
Yeah,
remember
but I also think that comes in way of her uncle. That
yeah,
comes
yeah,
in
because
way of what the
Damon.
fuck is it? Damon. Yeah, too many freaking
Those,
names.
bro, the names are insane, bro.
Too many names.
It's like, bro,
And they all sound similar
yeah,
too.
it's
Amon, Aegon, uh,
Aegon the
Luke,
third,
Aegon the third,
Aegon the second,
Jaehaerys, fuck,
Jaehaera,
Jaehaera, Joffrey, Vaemon. Come on, bro.
Lena,
I, I can't keep up.
Lenore.
I can't keep up.
It's wild. I don't know how I can keep up, honestly. At this point, I don't know
All
how I
right.
can remember.
I think we're ending up at about an hour, and I don't want to make this too long.
I loved it, but we want to talk about this.
Yeah, we have to do this again. Oh, I would like us to do episode by episode.
Yeah. First of
Okay.
all, I can't believe you're Team Black. That's one. That's retarded to me. That is like,
I mean, I'm Team Black because I'm Team Viserys. That's Team Viserys right there.
No, I think the problem is you don't like black people.
Huh?
I think you don't like black people. Like
Isn't there more black people on Team Black?
yeah, you were celebrating when a black man his lands were taken away, and you were here celebrating. He got caught off. He was executed by a bunch of white people, and you were here freaking happy that
He was educated by one white person.
they got his lands. They took his nieces. Jesus Christ, slavery up in the.
I mean, don't talk stupid. You lose your head if you talk stupid. But I'm Team Black because I am Team Viserys. That's what he wanted. I think that the king's dying wishes are what should be continued. Though I'm not. I don't know the books too well, but it feels like Team Black loses, and it only feels like Team Black loses. Well, actually, no, that's actually a chance because she did have kids with white hair after. So let's see what happens. I don't know who wins yet. Don't tell me who wins. I'm gonna see if I can figure it out myself.
And listen,
But
she lost me the moment she tried to become a whore and have three bastard children.
oh yeah, I forgot
She should
you.
have been
You hate women.
should have been executed, and along with her children. That's what I say. My fault that I follow tradition. My fault that I'm like horse.
Ah,
Like,
shit. Well, while in Middle Dunes Live, we have now reached 90 subs. So, congrats by
yeah.
yourself in the back, bro. We did
Shout out to the
we
people.
done we did a good
Yo,
job.
oh wait, hold on. Before we leave. Yo, I need to ask you this. I need to ask you
Let's hear
this.
it. Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
Why do they do Drake so dirty? Like,
Because he sounds like a groupie.
you saw the song that I posted. I can't show it to you because I need to log in. I can't log in.
I know what you're talking about. Do your
Yeah,
thing, 21. Do your thing.
but you see the meme though?
Yeah, I see the meme. You know why they meme him to death? Because like,
Why
nigga,
it's so fruity?
why are you singing another man's name over and over again?
Like that though. It was like so fruity. I'm like, why are they doing him like that?
I mean, that's why. But we're gonna get off track. Let's keep it straight with with thing 1 to 10, or if you were to rate this season in combination with Game of Thrones seasons, would this be in the top 5 seasons of all time?
Can't mess with it. The first
Top
Game of
5
Thrones.
seasons, not all 5 seasons. Top 5 seasons of all time of just Game of Thrones. I'm encompassing all like season 1 of House of Dragon and the entire 8 seasons of Game of Thrones. I would say there's a top 5 season.
Yeah, sure, because the 6, 7, and 8 are like.
I would say this is a top 5 season.
Sure,
Definitely.
we could definitely put in top 5. I'll give
Okay,
it.
now season by itself. Okay, here's why I might rate it a little bit higher than 7.5, because this season is what's going to make every season ahead of it either die or perform really well, right? Like the ending of season 1 of Game of Thrones with Ned dying led to every other season after it, because you can look in hindsight that season 1 is a lot better than people gave it credit for in the beginning. You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's really weird to rank the first season. I would say I think the way this season ends. I don't know, bro. I think the season's gonna do a lot more for this show than season 1 did for Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I mean, I would give it a 7.5, probably a 7. I liked it. There's a couple of things I didn't like.
Okay.
Some of the nitpick. I didn't like the map. That's another thing. They kind of fucked up on the map.
You gave it a 7. You gave it a 7.5.
Yeah, I give it a 7.5.
I'll give it an 8.
And if I liked it, they just messed up the map. That kind of pissed me off. You saw the map?
No, what did it mess up?
You see this fire map? I'll show you right now. I'm not gonna show it to you. I can't like make it bigger for some reason.
I want to learn about the Doom and Valyria. If they teach me more about the Doom and Valyria, then I would make this show better than Game of Thrones immediately.
You remember this map they showed? The Doom of Valyria is interesting. It's a lot of theories, but basically they show this map on like episode 10. It's all wrong. Like it's beautiful, but it's all wrong. Like the King's Landing's in the map, and this was before Aegon the Conqueror. So how is King's Landing there? The fucking map is wrong.
Hey, we could probably do some deep dives into Game of Thrones just in general. We could probably do 1 episode a week. We can talk about the Doom of Valyria, like things that you know. We can also,
There's not much to it. It's like just a bunch of theories to what potentially happened.
Okay, we can also talk about each clan, like each like the Starks, the Lannisters, the Targaryens, the Valyrians, the Hightowers, the Aarons. We could talk about just their groups in general, and you could probably teach me more about Game of Thrones in general. Well, until we wait to season 2, because Game of Thrones is hot. I like hot shit, man. I like hot shit.
10 years. I like that scene. I love that scene. We go like 10 years. And then he's like, he's a cunt. I'm like, damn. Like, he's so much passion with that. I love that word, bro. I love the word cunt. He's a cunt.
All right, guys. This has been Lidat. I give it an 8. He gives it a 7.5. I'm willing to go down to 7.5. I also give it a 7.5. But I think in hindsight, we will rank this season higher. Because 1, it did something that no other season did, had a time skip. Right? You know, where it went from kids. Yeah, when they went from kids to adults and then further on to adults. And then gonna have a shit ton of dragons, and we also learn more old Valyrian, which is cool. We saw a lot of Easter eggs like Dark Sister and whatnot. I think this show, I think this season is gonna age well, very well.
You don't like the feet? How about the feet? You like the feet scene? You
The
like some
feet
feet?
scene,
You didn't see the feet scene? You don't remember the feet scene?
nah,
Oh, it's like an episode, like I think nine, no, like nine
yeah.
or eight.
I didn't really watch the last couple episodes. I kind of just
God damn
watched some
it!
reviews of them.
Oh my God, you have to watch the feet
I'll check it
scene.
out. I'll check it out. I'll check it out.
That's hilarious. I was kind
All right,
of
bro.
pumped up.
Peace out, guys. We appreciate you guys. If you like this stuff, like, comment, subscribe, share, comment that you want more of this kind of content, and we will do it.
Get it.
Peace.
Let me